Nutrient management in Maryland has been around for going on almost 20 years now, and has been a huge boon to, I think, both the bottom line of the farmer, because we know more about exactly what we're putting on, and we're not wasting fertilizer. We're not just putting it out there and not benefiting from it. And then also to the environment, of course, because we're not overusing like some people may have been doing years ago.
We've had nutrient management for as long as I can remember, as long as I've farmed. But for a long time, we didn't have a written notebook or plan. A lot of farmers would have a pocket notebook, kept their notes in there, but they would take soil tests, and when I started farming, I went to the University of Maryland. They had sheets that would tell you how much nutrients for what soil test level for what crop, and I made up my own. And I assumed that most other farmers did, and if they didn't, I think they had their fertilizer supplier to do it.
I certainly want to improve water quality. I live between the bay and the ocean, between the water, taking care of that the best I can. Again, something I think a lot of people don't realize is it's in our best interest to do that. I don't want to put out more nutrients than I need to. This stuff's expensive. That, if we can bring that up, if we can reduce our use, it makes sense for me. It's not in the soil, it's not going out in the water. It's just best for everybody.
Phosphorus is an issue in Maryland. We've got a lot of farmers that have been applying organic manure, organic fertilizer sources for a long time. Phosphorus, along with nitrogen, when it gets into the waterway, it really decreases water quality. There's a surge of underwater vegetation that grows, and it really decreases the oxygen and just lowers the quality of that water. Well, the University of Maryland specifically, we work with other universities across the country, because everyone's facing this issue, especially here in the Mid-Atlantic. Typically, there's a problem identified in the state, and then the University of Maryland will decide we need to do some research to try to answer this question, collect the data, usually publish it in some kind of a peer-reviewed journal, and then from there we usually develop extension bulletins, which takes the published data and really puts it into layman's terms to get it out there to the producers to actually be able to use.
I think nutrient management is important, is just because it gives us something that we can explain to the community of why we're doing certain things in farming, why we're putting certain amounts of fertilizer on a certain crop. I think the most important thing that's come out of a mandatory nutrient management plan is it is a good face for the industry to the non-agriculture public.
We have a nutrient management consultant who works with us through the winter to take our crop plans for the next year and make the most of our farm operation, get the most productivity we can out of it without harming the bay.
And our people are primarily responsible for working with producers, private landowners on conservation planning. We also have financial assistance programs that help farmers to implement best management practices on their farm that help to conserve the soil, protect wildlife, and enhance plant health, soil health, all those kinds of things. Most farmers are pretty good stewards of the land. They have a vested interest in making sure their soil remains healthy, that they don't have a lot of soil erosion. It's in their best interest to protect the ground, because that's where they get their profits from, and are able to produce the crops. So generally it's a stewardship ethic that a lot of farmers have.
We test our soil, we test our manure. The university does studies to know what nutrients that plants need. So we write a prescription. So if you're going to grow corn in this type of soil, from this soil test, and you have this manure analysis, this is how much manure you put on. And if you're not putting on manure, this is how much commercial fertilizer you put on.
Nutrient management is important, and what we're trying to do is balance the inputs that go onto the land with what we take off, and not allow there to be a great excess buildup that will run off. I think all of us in agriculture really are trying to balance the soil health and what we put on the ground, and eliminate runoff. That doesn't benefit anybody for nutrients to leave the ground.